Da.
Hi, I'm Joachim Schmidt, host of Music is a Beautiful Thing, a monthly music show on Radio Darmstadt. This is my interview with Ben Byram, co-founder of Kaizen. Enjoy. To all the viewers at home and all the listeners on the radio, this is Ben Byram from Kaizen. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Ben Byram. Yes, I'm the co-founder and CEO of kaizen.place, and we are a direct-to-fan or direct-to-consumer marketing and sales platform for independent musicians. And yeah, happy to be here today.
Yeah, thanks. It's wonderful to have you here too, as well. Would you like to describe how Kaizen started?
Yeah, sure. So the origin of it was I come from a music background, did music full time for a long time. Both my parents are musicians, so that was sort of a natural start to my life. And I initially was doing record production and songwriting full time after I graduated from Cal State Northridge here in California. And then, so I did that for maybe 7 or 8 years, mainly as a creative. And then I jumped into the tech world, initially as a product designer and then as a product manager at two different startups. And it was during that time that when I was really introduced to more of the depth, maybe, of the tech world, just how many possibilities there were with solving problems in the music industry, with software and tech, and just stuff like that. And so my mind was just in that place. And I was reading about the concept of Kaizen, which is the name of the company, and Kaizen, it's a Japanese business philosophy, and it relates to lots of things, but it essentially just means small iterative changes over time rather than like making a giant change in your life out of nowhere. And that can be applied to personal development. It can be applied to business development or in like changing something to get feedback without maybe sitting with something for a year and putting it out there just to realize that people don't like 2/3 of it. So, get feedback often. And so this is a very common practice, but I was immediately like, wow, where's that happening in the music industry? And sure, maybe it's happening through, release singles instead of an album, things like that, which is very responsible to do when you're focused on growth and getting yourself out there. There's a time for an album too, and some people maybe just want to prioritize like the creative integrity of putting out an album, and there's pros and cons to both. But that's where the origin started, and it actually is what led to the beginning of our platform, which was initially a way for an artist to release music before it was even done, and then they would update it over time in public. And so it was a bit of a creative expression tool in that way, but it was also practical in letting an artist connect more deeply with their fans, bring them into the process, and actually monetize their process as well. So that was the origins of it. And then after working with more and more artists and working with artists who really wanted to sort of expand into more ways to fully fund their career and have a better relationship with their fans and better monetize their audience as well, so they can really like fund their independent career and stay independent. That led us into lots of other types of ideas and pieces of our product that now is kind of where we're at, where we have a sort of a system that artists can use to nurture their relationships with their fans and drive more revenue through essentially just opening up more avenues for financial support. So that's sort of it in a snapshot of the journey when I focus on kind of the product side of things.
Okay, nice. So you have like your career spans like both of these worlds, like one on the music side and one also the software development side. How do you think, like, what's your view on how like the tech industry and software development in general has like impacted the music industry? Because obviously like there are some milestones, like for example, I'm just gonna name drop iTunes, like that was a major milestone, like, or like major, I wouldn't say milestone, but like shift in how the music industry operates. Like what's your view on that?
Yeah, it's complex because even the tech industry is changing so rapidly. Technology is changing so rapidly, you know. So I
Yeah.
mean, the when I first got into the tech world, I think it was definitely a part of the. I don't know if there was a term for it, but like the tech boom that was happening, you know, during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
um, and um, and then now there's a large shrinkage in that industry, in the tech industry, because of AI and lots of other reasons too. So it's interesting to feel these contractions. But I think that like just in general, I'm not going to guess things that I don't know for sure. But what I can see is that there is a general shift in the music industry towards empowering the independent route for an artist. And so it's happening through lots of different tools. Of course, there's social media, which is extremely helpful um, in reach, in
Mm-hmm.
letting an artist reach new fans.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the problem actually that we help address is that I think a lot of artists believe that social media actually solves all the problems. And now and people have thought that for a while because they're like, oh my gosh, I can go famous just going viral.
Yeah.
But I think what people are realizing is that instead, what social media does really well is specifically, I'm going to use the word acquisition, which is like more of a business term of framing reaching new fans.
Mm.
Just getting people to see me as an artist, really, really impactful for that. And that's a great skill to master and tool to master on social media. But what's missing is when you think of the flywheel of a normal business, there's way more steps than just acquisition. Acquisition is
Of
step
course.
one
Yeah.
out of six major steps there, where you might acquire some new users, or I'm going to keep using the artist terms here. I might reach new fans, but what does that do for me? Because even if they become followers, which a lot of the views don't convert to followers because the feeds are built to just consume more and more content. They're
Mm.
not built to dive into a relationship. And so you might start to get some followers. And But even when you do that, your content is being shown um, to like less than 10% of your followers on average. And so, what do the followers really do for you on social media if you did not bring them into your world or activate them into your world by
Okay.
collecting their email address or getting their phone number or finding
Yeah.
a way to actually have more of a relationship with them that is not completely by social media? You know, you don't really know who those people are who are streaming your music. It's really hard to reach them. You see the number of streams, you see male and female percentages, and location. You can't really do a whole lot with that. So
Yeah.
the acquisition or the reach part is super important. But where we come into play and we really strengthen the path or the career of a musician is um, getting funneling them into collecting emails and phone numbers, which we'd call maybe the activation stage. And then how do we have them retain? The retention stage is like have some automated welcome sequences that tell your story, make it easy to write your story, and even have some content in there that's like, hey, do you want to join my Discord community or whatever it is that an artist wants to do? And then the next step is revenue. How do we actually get them to want to financially support you for early access or maybe monthly memberships to exclusive content? And then the final step in like really this flywheel that a lot of businesses run is referrals. How do I get my fans who are activated, who really like have a true relationship with me, who are financially supporting me? How do we get them to talk about me? Because if you can get all
Mm-hmm.
those things, it leads back to the acquisition again. And all of a sudden, it
Yeah.
becomes less hard to run this sort of revolution of the flywheel. So that's where a lot of the pieces come into play for our platform. And we're trying to educate artists as well. There's a lot of this happening through tech and music right now where artists are being educated that they do need more than just social media to really like have a career and all that. So I don't know if I really answered your question. I kind of went off there, but that's kind of our
Perfectly
perspective.
fine. Perfectly fine. So you mentioned like these aspects of uh, like financial support, and of course there are other platforms like Patreon, for example, where uh, similarly, fans can support their artists directly. So, what is like the selling point of Kaizen versus those platforms?
Yeah, I'd say there's currently three main things. Without going into super detail on them, I'll just kind of list them out. The first one is that we do have a lot of tools in one, which, like I was mentioning earlier, like a lot of platforms go in that direction where they become sort of like an all-in-one solution. But we have done that very effectively in a market that has not done that quite yet. Specifically, and this is maybe the second piece, is specifically built for the musician. So a Patreon or even these other platforms that help with like maybe email collection and things like that. They might have quite a few tools, but they're also very generally created for like maybe the general creator. But we do have the basic necessities of like email campaigns, texting campaigns. We have very effective email and text collection tools as well, like funneling those fans from social media. But since it's built specifically for musicians, then we also have these early access campaigns fully built out that include the Spotify, Apple Music pre-saves built into the flow with an upsell to merch. It's very crafted around the musicians' kind of needs when it comes to promotions and revenue. So those are two things. It's very all-encompassing. You don't need to manage a Patreon while managing MailChimp, while managing up to 6 different tools or different pieces. It's built for the musicians. But another piece that we're leaning into more and more and more is we do not want to be another marketplace. So like another Bandcamp to lead people towards. And there's a lot of other platforms kind of still doing that where, yes, there's direct access to revenue and relationship, but it's still like just another platform to manage from the fan perspective to remember, from the artist perspective to promote. And so instead, wherever we can, we're leaning into kind of white labeling so that we're not really a part of the equation and an artist can brand it for themselves or host it on their domain on their website. But also in addition, our communication tools and things like that, especially when we lean into the power of our email campaigns and text campaigns, it's all happening. That doesn't happen on a platform. That's just through previously existing technology that feels like directly to the fan and we stay out of the way. Or even the sales that are happening through early access campaigns, they happen on landing pages. They're specifically built they're optimized for like the Instagram in-app browser that pops up. So maybe that gets delivered through a direct message through our automations, and then they click the link to get early access. That pops up. They give their email and they pay for the early access, and then they get the download confirmation email. The landing page closes, and they're still there on Instagram. It's not like they're navigating to a whole marketplace. There's there's not even like fan account creation that needs to happen for the majority of the sales happening as well. So that's what's already happening in place. We're trying to really like empower that relationship between the fan and the artist and stay out of the way. So we've already been doing that a lot of ways, and we're continuing to find more ways to do that.
Okay. In your journey as a music tech company, what were the greatest challenges that you faced? Of course, I imagine like the tech space in general is pretty competitive. So what are some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, the tech space is competitive, but the music space is just really challenging because I think our platform right now, we have to navigate monetization on our end as well. So from the business perspective, when an artist uses our platform, we have a totally free plan. Here's the challenge. A lot of artists, especially in the early stages, they don't have a lot of money to spend on more tools. And so there's a challenge there, knowing how to offer something that is really valuable, and knowing how we start to build up a business for ourselves to continue with long term. And we want to keep integrity in how we position ourselves and really serve artists well, and not be any kind of cash grab or sell something that doesn't actually work. But that can be a challenge, is just like, where does revenue come from in the music industry in general? And so it's fun. It's a challenge, but it's fun because it makes us feel like we're kind of in it with these independent artists. We've never raised money. And so up
Okay.
until this point, we're fully bootstrapped, which is a
Okay.
big, big challenge for us. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been an advantage as well, because we're kind of like in this journey with a lot of the bigger artists that we're working with, or we're still independent.
Yeah.
So yeah, the challenge is just the music industry in general,
Mm.
and the challenges that an artist faces there. So, but it's forced us to just like make a product that actually works. It also doesn't just work for an established artist, because we'll see that a lot too with other platforms where
Mm-hmm.
they have an artist who's kind of like repping them, but this artist
Mm.
maybe kind of rose up during a time when the challenges today weren't the same challenges back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun to like, I don't know, the medium is the message a bit. I don't know if that's the right term, or kind of like
Yeah.
experience the challenge as we build it. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if that fully answered your question, but
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Of course. You mentioned like your business model quickly there. So it's
Mhm.
free for if you start as an artist. How does the revenue how does your revenue work, like your pricing?
There's a mixture of, we have a free plan for artists, but then we do have some of our more professional tools specifically around automations, and a few extra things for like better retargeting of your fans if you're going to be running ads. So we have some tools that are behind a subscription as well, just for
Oh,
access to some of
okay.
those. And they're
Yeah.
somewhat usage based because of like the text messages and carrier fees and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a mixture of like a freemium model, but right now you can do so much for free as an artist. You can start collecting emails from your fans, if you don't have a mailing list at all, going from like 0 emails to 100 emails very quickly,
Hmm.
and things like that. It's a lot of the automation tools and things about scaling that. Scaling
Hmm.
and kind of automatically growing your contact list and your revenue that go into the subscription that we have on our platform. Um, and then from the fan side, we do have a 10% revenue share. So
Okay.
if you're going to start generating money through our platform, then we keep 10%.
Okay. I think that's like smaller than Patreon's cut, right? If I remember correctly. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
Patreon has a mix of different things. I think they go between 8 to 15. I could be
Mm.
wrong, but I think they have a range
Okay.
of revenue share.
Okay. Okay. Um, like I imagined one of the challenges you face to be some sort of dealing like I call it under on the umbrella term content moderation. But what I imagine of that is like not only like just moderating like comments or something like that, but also like for example DMCA requests or I don't know, like when yeah, some copyright issues or something like that. Have you faced any of these challenges yet, or
We face it a little bit, but the reason that it's not happening a whole lot currently is because a lot of our tools, it's more of a like, some people refer to what we're doing as a CRM, a client relationship management
okay?
tool. And so it's not, there's not like a public marketplace
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. We do have
Okay.
a piece of it that is still that, called our
Yeah.
playground currently, where
Yeah.
people are like uploading music that's in
Yeah. Yeah.
progress. But that's not the main core of our feature of our product. Actually,
Okay.
most of it's happening directly between an artist and their fans. Um, so
Okay.
that resolves a little bit of those potential issues if you're actually running like a social media,
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
social
Yeah.
focused
Yeah.
platform or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So that's a piece of it, but there are a couple things that come up every once in a while that we'll see. But at this point, we're able to kind of catch those and request a takedown, and responding to them just with our team kind of managing that at this point.
Also, like from as a computer science student and like just finishing my studies, I like constantly am bombarded with like these new like technologies and like these new developments, these new um, I don't know, like industry buzzwords. and like two of the recent ones and two of the like largest ones that we had were Web3 or crypto and AI, and kind of these two technologies also had some significant impact on the music industry. Does Kaizen have any stance on these particular technologies or like up and coming stuff? Like, for example, AI, a recent debate is like AI generated music or like music that contains AI generated samples or something like that. Do you have any like policies on that or something like that, or?
Yeah, there's no like written policies on AI generated music other than, you know, it has to be original music. It has to be your music, like not copyrighted by somebody else, of course.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm not going to use the word stance. Here's just my thoughts on it at this point.
Yeah.
Is that I'll start with the Web3 first, because maybe that's a little easier than the AI stuff. The Web3 stuff in general, so we don't have any Web3 technology on the platform. And I've been around it a lot, especially here in LA. There's like quite a large music Web3 scene, and I have friends in it, and it's been great to be around. But I think currently, and you know, I'll share my opinions, but my opinions change every day, so I need that kind of permission, you know. Is that I think that a lot of the Web3 and crypto stuff has actually birthed a lot of cool ideas that do go beyond the technology, and that's the part that I think is helpful, because I think the technology itself is still, the value in it is still confusing. And I think that like a lot of people hopefully have realized that they were trying to sell the technology, and that's just like not what you should be selling, especially if it's between an artist and their fans, like to the consumer. But the concept of, you know, passes and things like that, or like virtual kind of tokens that have some value. I think the value of those tokens or the structures that were in place, those had some great ideas that I think can be used in helpful ways to develop better relationships between an artist and their fans. But I don't necessarily think that the technology behind it being Web3 technology has landed with me yet. I'll just say that. The only real use case I've seen that has had an impact is mostly in the finance world, or like in payments, quicker payouts, easier payouts that are international, things like that. So I see more immediate value there when it comes to Web3 or crypto. This isn't policy or opinions even at this point. These are just maybe observations. I think that like AI observations around it is that AI contributes to more functional music. Functional music meaning like a lot of what you see Spotify trending towards actually now, which is passive listening for functions like workout music, study music, and meditation music. Things that are less artist driven, more functional. I think that AI will contribute heavily to that. And I think that like I could see, again, I'm not prescribing anything here. I don't know good or bad, like at this point. But I think that AI will be really helpful in specifically starters for musicians. Like when somebody gets into the studio and they like want to start, I think that coming up with a starter, chord progression or vibe or whatever will be incredibly impactful in enabling a lot of musicians to become actual artists. Because I think starting something is the hardest part. Now we're getting into like production world, you know, but starting something is the hardest part, and then building around it becomes really easy when you have a foundation, and then you can strip away the AI in the beginning anyways, and then like replace it with something totally different. People were doing that with splice loops already. So I mean, to me, I'm kind of like, what's the big difference there? But yeah, the morality and the everything else around AI, to be super honest, maybe this is like viewed as weak to not have a strong opinion yet, but I'm just kind of observing at this point.
Perfectly valid.
And waiting on my opinions.
I think that's perfectly valid to just see how this develops. And what are your goals, or like is your vision for Kaizen for the future? Like, do you have any plans for the next like short term or even long term, like the next few years? Any anything you're looking forward to in that space?
Yeah. Um, in the short term, we're trying to, well, first of all, get better at marketing because we're all builders, like the whole team, we're product
Yeah,
and development, you know. So, really trying to just get the word out there more and focus as much as we can on the direct to consumer or the direct to fan side of things. I think that we
okay,
have the best product out there, and I think that it's going to continue to be the best product. And I don't know why, I just have so much confidence in us as a product. Um,
that's great.
and It's a mixture of like Anthony and Adam are just incredible developers, and they're so smart about not just engineering but um, product and observing the industry. You know,
Okay,
and then on my end, I really care deeply about user experience. That's really what I started as in tech, and I just have a lot of confidence in my ability to create a good experience. And it goes a long way with musicians. Musicians don't have the energy to figure things out.
yeah,
They want to vibe, you know, and like make something incredibly
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
So I have a lot of confidence in our product, and kind of like hanging in there when we see other things kind of like go crazy, and then maybe they fade away and go crazy and fade away. But so, sorry, to answer your question, I really want to now focus on um, getting into the market way more than we currently are. We already
okay,
have really great relationships happening, like biz dev relationships maybe and things like that. I'm so grateful for that, and but I'm just hoping to really like get the word out there a lot more now.
yeah,
Um, and so yeah, we're gonna focus on that space for a while, and then I see in the future us actually expanding into some others that are related to it. Um,
okay,
that are related to, you know, just kind of a natural extension of, well, what does an artist need when they're doing an early access release leading up to their song release, and then what's after the song release and things like that. A little bit beyond maybe the just direct to consumer side of things. So to not get us too much detail there, I see us just really providing more and more and more of an independent artist needs to um, stay fully independent and do very well for themselves, more so than just the consumer song releases.
yeah. Okay, that sounds great. Ambitious, but I think very realistic for you. Okay, so you touched on uh, like the platform itself and the features independent artists use. You yourself are an artist on Kaizen as well. How do you use Kaizen?
Yeah, I am. I'm a little guilty of getting so swallowed up in the business side of things. You know, the last
Yeah.
year or two, it has been slow on the creative end for me. But I am really excited to get back to a place where
Hmm.
I can spend some more time on that. Um, but I think being kind of like in the early stages, it's a little more of a challenge than hopefully will be later, especially with such a small team.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I've utilized Kaizen a lot around the like iterative releases, especially in the beginning when we first
Yeah.
came out with that, and wanted to showcase my process both retrospectively from a previous project I made, and then put out like a new one that is still completely unfinished. So it's still on there as, you know, version 1.2, 1.3, and things like
Mm.
that. Um,
Yeah.
but our opening like launch, the first time we launched was May 2023. So like almost exactly 2 years ago.
Oh
And
wow. Yeah.
yeah, and we did a launch party that was also a listening party for one of my projects.
Oh
And it was here
nice.
in LA. It was
Nice.
really, really fun. It was like it was very community oriented. It was
Yeah.
so fun. Community is super important for me in general.
Yeah.
And so it was like just a really great, creative, positive crowd. It was so fun to just kind of like see the community around it already. And then I went through a whole project of mine and kind of like showcased where it's coming from, some of the earlier versions of it, showcased it on Kaizen as well and stuff like that.
Mm.
So it was a super fun kickoff for what we were doing. Um, but yeah, now like I use some of the tools to build up, email and phone collection for myself for people who want to hear about what's coming up next. But what I need to get to is actually like coming out with the music again soon. So it's been a while, just kind of getting swallowed up in the business end of things.
Yeah, like I saw your Kaizen artist profile. You like release music in some a variety of genres, like so like some R&B stuff is there, and uh, like some hip hop stuff also, or like some also lo-fi stuff more, like really versatile.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd say my background was really diverse. Like my parents were in musical theater, so I grew up with a lot of musical
Oh,
theater
okay.
or classic rock. Or I really got into a lot of folk music when I was kind of getting into college. Um, so it was a little all over the place. But then when I started working heavily in the music industry as a producer,
Mhm.
R&B and hip hop was like pop at that time. So I was
Okay.
working a lot with those artists.
Okay.
And so I think that did shape a lot of my sonic sound.
Yeah.
But I think like vocally, I'm not a rapper at all. And some of the stuff can have some R&B elements to it. But sometimes people ask me about my music. I'm like, oh, like picture maybe a little bit of Bon Iver when he's working with hip hop artists.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it's not quite there yet,
Interesting
but I think
picture.
that's at least how I view myself, whether it's actor or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super nice. Okay. Um, what music do you listen to, and does that inspire your music as well?
Um, Man, it's all over the place. What's been fun recently is I do listen to a lot of new artists now, more
Mm-hmm.
than I ever used to actually, because that's a lot of the people I'm interacting with, and I'm getting to know that
Mm.
space even more.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I find gems I think that I didn't find before. Um,
Yeah.
but and genre wise, it's all over the place. Okay, here's an opinion. I think there's a lot of music right now. There's a trend in music that's kind of like music is getting a little. I've heard the word easy listening,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and I don't know how else to describe it. It's like I think there's a lot of good music right now, but to be honest, I sort of miss the moments when there was something new that people were freaking out about.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like
Yeah.
it's been a
Yeah.
while since that's happened.
Okay.
Like crazy random examples, like as mainstream as he was, Skrillex. Like
Mm-hmm.
when dubstep
Mm-hmm.
and Skrillex was first happening, people
Mm-hmm.
couldn't believe it. It was just so insane sounding, but still great sounding.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know, like a lot of the mumble rap stuff that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
It was like addicting to listen to, you know,
Yeah.
and it was so different. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like a lot of that's kind of lacking in the music industry right now, and it has been for quite a few years.
Hmm.
So unless I'm just like really out of it and not able to find those places where that's
Yeah.
happening, I find myself kind of waiting for that and hoping for that soon.
Hmm. I mean,
Um,
here's hoping that some like some of these niche genres which are 100% existing right now but like aren't mainstream or like don't get the recognition they deserve, like here's hoping they
yeah,
get into the mainstream soon. Yeah.
yep, I totally agree. Yeah, right
Yeah.
now it's like certain random TikTok sounds are my favorite sounds, but it's like,
Yeah.
where are those artists? Those artists don't get a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. um do you listen to radio?
Rarely,
Okay. like
rarely.
like for example, like I haven't been to LA yet, but
Mm.
I occasionally listen to KCRW, if you know them. It's like it's a
Hmm.
non-commercial radio station from LA. Yeah, just because it just came to my mind because we're on a radio show, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, truthfully, I don't listen to radio a whole lot, but I'm curious what your maybe opinion is on, you know, the position of radio in the industry right now.
Oh, I think uh, like yeah, it's I think it's pretty complicated as always, but it also depends on the country, I guess, because like here in Germany we have like I don't know, like the barrier of like we have like different types of radio stations. We have like some like commercial radio stations which play like due to their nature of being like commercially funded by advertisements, play mostly mainstream music. But we also have radio stations like us who are independent and like we are like partially funded by donations or a membership costs, and partially also by like not really taxes, but like something we call the Rundfunkgebühr. So every household has to pay like a monthly amount, and that goes to like to independent radio stations like us and to larger. It's not like really. It's like similar to NPR, but
Hmm.
like I think way larger and like larger in scope. And these radio stations often also like take more risk, I would say. And also like we have like one radio station, one national radio station I listen to a lot. It's called Deutschlandfunk Nova. It's like one of these um, non-commercial radio stations, and they do play a lot of new pop, like a like up and coming artists from Germany as well. Like they like this, they like kind of support like the local. I mean, it's a national radio station, so they can like support uh, like local artists who weren't discovered yet or like are very niche, but they do support a lot of indie artists here, and yeah, I love to listen to that station. I think in general, um, of course, the I hate to bring up this Gen Z term, but I think, of course, I think everyone can agree that radio has peaked like a few years ago. But I think now that like the this high tide is over, I think now it really finds its kind of niche where it it can really bring listeners closer to the music they want to hear in
Hmm.
a different setting than like algorithm driven or like playlist driven uh, music listening. And I think that's a really valuable thing. So
Hmm.
especially these independently run and like non-commercial radio stations, they have a lot of opportunity and are already doing a lot of good stuff in that directions, like the ones I listen to at least. And yeah, I think it's really I wouldn't say like it would be easy to say like radio, okay, radio's dying and nobody listens to radio anymore, but I don't think that's true. I think there's still people who just want to listen to like a playlist that's curated by like some other human who was just thinking, okay, like these are my
Yep.
songs, these are my song picks, and these are like some independent up and coming artists. And yeah, I think there's still value in that. And yeah, I think the now that like the peak of radio is over, now it's like really the who's listening to radio is like really a core audience who like just enjoys this stuff and like has a it's a community by itself. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's a good future for radio still. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's awesome. And I'm not nearly as educated as you are on radio, but um, I would totally agree. I think that people are getting tired of how do I say it? Like they're getting tired of themselves.
Mhm.
And so like and the algorithm is built for you to just
Yes,
see, just
exactly.
get you, get more of you. And I
Yeah,
think that yeah, like something curated by another person feels fresh. It feels fresh in a way
yeah,
that you can't get through an algorithm and things like that. And
yeah.
I think that's so valuable. Plus, people are tired of like the work it takes to the on demand takes, on demand streaming. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. I want to be served, by like another human who can show me something
Yeah,
super
yeah,
cool. So
yeah.
I think that's like, it's almost like how, and now we're just like rambling on crazy thoughts here, but like, how like after the pandemic, um, the draw towards in-person experiences became really big.
Mhm.
And now that's happening so much in different
Yeah.
ways. I even think that's why like coffee shops have exploded in
Mhm.
LA, at least. And I think it's like similar to radio. I think that radio feels like experiential
Yeah.
in a certain way, and so
Yeah.
there's a draw to that.
I definitely agree. Like it has like it definitely has like this nostalgia factor, but I think it's way more than that. That is really like the draw for me and for um other people as well. Like it's like it has the social factor as you mentioned, but yeah, it's like yeah, also more than that. Like it's like a lot of these factors combined which just make it so appealing to me. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you have anything else you want to add before we
No,
leave?
no, but I appreciate us talking and you asking me questions. It's fun to share.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. Where can people find you and kaizen.place?
Kaizen.place is the URL is just kaizen.place. That'll take you right there. On Instagram, same thing, kaizen.place. And so you can follow along with us either way. On Instagram, I'm just Ben Byram. I don't post almost at all, but you are welcome to follow me there too. Just BenByram.
Okay. Yeah. Ben, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for joining me. I also really enjoyed this conversation. And yeah,
Me too.
and I hope all the best for Kaizen for the future.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thanks for watching. Check out more about my show and Radio Darmstadt at radiodarmstadt.de. Links are also in the description. If you've enjoyed this, like and subscribe, the usual. Take care.